All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about something called nudge theory. And trust me, it's this super interesting, kind of powerful idea about how these tiny, almost invisible cues in our world can completely change the choices we make every single day. You know the feeling, right? It's like one part of you totally wants to crush it, save money, get fit, eat healthy. But then there's this other part of you that just wants to order a pizza, binge watch an entire season of a show, and yeah, buy those new shoes right now. It's this constant internal tug of war. So to really get this, just picture two different people living inside your head. First, you've got the planner. This is your future self, the one with the big plans, the long-term goals. But then you've got the doer. And the doer? The doer lives for right now. The doer sees a piece of cake and just eats it, no questions asked, while the planner is just kind of left in the dust, wondering what the heck happened to that diet. And look, this isn't just some random idea. It's a real model that helps explain why we act the way we do. It's this fundamental clash between the part of us that's far-sighted and resolute and the part that's impulsive and short-sighted. So that battle you feel, yeah, that's pretty much hardwired into us. Okay, what's really fun is how economists have put a name to these two sides. They call the planner Homo economicus, the ideal, super rational human who always makes the perfect long-term choice. And the doer? They call that Homer economicus. Yes, like Homer Simpson. That well-meaning but, let's be honest, easily distracted part of us that just can't resist the donut. And if we're being real, most of us have a lot more Homer in us than we'd probably like to admit. So with this constant fight going on between our inner planner and our inner doer, who actually wins? Well, a lot of the time, it's not about willpower. It's about the world around us. And that world, that environment, is often designed by someone we call a choice architect. A choice architect is basically anyone who sets up the context in which you make a decision. I mean, think about it. The person who designs an app's interface, deciding where to put the buttons, or the manager at your local grocery store deciding which items go in which aisle. These people are everywhere, and they are quietly shaping the choices you make. Let's use a classic example to make this super clear. Picture a cafeteria manager. Let's call her Carolyn. She has to figure out where to put all the food, the salads, the fruit, the desserts. Now, she knows that whatever she does, the way she arranges that food, is going to influence what students choose to eat. And that's the big takeaway here. There's no such thing as a neutral design. Every layout has an impact. So Carolyn decides to be smart about it. She's not going to ban the desserts. That's a shove, not a nudge. Instead, she just puts the healthy fruit right at eye level. And the desserts, she moves them to a spot that's a little less convenient. See? She's not taking away anyone's choice. She's just subtly redesigning the path of least resistance so it helps out the planner's goals. She's making the good choice the easy choice. Okay, so let's zoom out from the cafeteria because this idea applies to some of the biggest decisions in our lives, like our money and our health. These little pushes, these nudges, are being used all over the place. And honestly, the results can be massive. Now, the secret ingredient for a lot of these nudges is that they tap into our basic human laziness, our inertia. We have this really strong tendency to just stick with whatever is the pre-selected option, the default, because, changing it takes effort. And here's the perfect example, retirement plans. For decades, when you started a new job, the default was that you were not signed up. You had to go out of your way to fill out paperwork to opt in. But then, some companies just flipped the switch. Now, new employees are automatically enrolled. You can still opt out, sure, but you have to actively do something to not save. The result? Insane. Participation rates went through the roof. It's the same choice for the same people, just with a different default. And seriously, once you know what to look for, you see nudges everywhere. Some are there to help your planner, like plans that automatically bump up your savings every time you get a raise. But a lot of them are aimed straight at your doer, like the smell of fresh cookies being pumped through a store, or those mirrors in clothing shops that, somehow make you look a little better, making you more likely to buy. So, we've seen how powerful this stuff can be. But all this power brings up a pretty big question. Is this just a helpful tool for good, or is it basically a sneaky form of manipulation? It gets into this whole debate about guiding people's choices for their own good while still, letting them be free to choose. I mean, on the surface, helping people save for retirement or eat a little healthier, that seems like a total win-win. We're just helping people do what their planner self wants to do anyway. So what could possibly be the problem? Well, this is where it gets messy. The economist Thomas Schelling asked the single most important question here. When our two selves, the planner and the doer, are fighting, who says the choice architect gets to pick a side? I mean, why should the planner always get to win?
The whole argument against nudging gets even stronger when you realize that our true preferences aren't really set in stone. They're actually kind of shaky. What we want often changes based on the situation, and most importantly, based on timing.
Let me make this super clear. If I ask you, hey, would you rather have $100 in a year or $110 in a year and 1 week, most of us, our planners, would say, yeah, I'll wait the extra week for 10 more bucks, no problem. But what if I ask, would you rather have $100 right now or $110 next week? Suddenly, a lot of us, our doers, are grabbing that $100 today. It is the exact same trade-off, 10 bucks for a 1 week wait. But the pull of right now completely flips our decision. The doer just takes over. And that right there is kind of the knockout punch to the whole pro-nudge argument. If our preferences are this flaky, can we really say that a nudge is helping us get what we want? Or does it look more like the choice architect is just pushing their own values onto us, deciding for us what we should want? It stops being helpful and starts feeling like someone just telling us what's best for us. Okay, so this all might sound a little bit dark, like we're just puppets being controlled by these invisible forces. But here's the twist. Here's the empowering part. Instead of just being nudged, you can be the one doing the nudging. You can start designing your own world. And that's really the most important thing to take away from all this. Once you learn to see the invisible architecture that's shaping your choices, you can become the architect. You can start building an environment that helps you become the person you actually want to be. And it's actually pretty simple to start doing this in your own life. You want to work out more? Don't just rely on raw willpower. Put your gym bag right by the front door so you literally trip over it. That's a nudge. Want to save more money? Automate it. Set up a transfer to your savings account for the day you get paid. That way, saving becomes the default, not spending. You're not just hoping for the best anymore. You're building a system where your planner is actually set up for success. So it all comes back to this. Nudge theory pulls back the curtain on all these invisible forces that guide our behavior. And now that you can see them, you have the power. Are you going to build a world that serves your future self, or one that just feeds the impulse of the moment? The choice, and now the architecture, is yours.